Hey, sir. Being that it's the 40th anniversary of one of our most popular series, Super Mario, I was thinking that we would do a special deal of Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 just for the fans at a great price. No, I was thinking we could do that, but just no. Alright, let's go. What's good, YouTube? It's your host, Shin Santana, and you are now watching MVP Magazine. Nintendo has just wrapped up its first major Nintendo Direct conference since the release of the Nintendo Switch 2. And it's pretty fair to say that results have been pretty mixed. Now, I definitely will not lie. Even though Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 are very old games, the thought and the convenience of being able to play them on the Switch 2 at 4K with a couple of extras is a very appealing thought. Nintendo is definitely taking zero prisoners with their new pricing. $70 for two upscaled Wii games is wild. One way to look at this whole fiasco is that because these games came out so long ago, there's going to be a ton of new generation gamers who have never experienced the Super Mario Galaxy franchise before. And even me myself, it's been so long since I played these games for the first time, it's going to be like practically playing a new game. But that being said, these are still two really old Wii games which haven't had much work done to them. It's not like they've had new textures and new graphics and new levels applied. It's pretty much the same thing with just a couple of extras thrown in. Now, I will definitely not knock this game because it's a classic and I can understand why Nintendo would re-release it and theme the new movie around the Galaxy franchise. It's definitely one of the series' most highest points. But for the American gamers, I feel like they gotta cut them some slack. Now, in my region, it's £33 for each game, and I think it's like £50, £55 for them both together, which isn't so bad. But the Nintendo gamers in America having to pay 70 is it's come nasty work. It's some nasty work. Metroid Prime 4 being Nintendo's big game for December is really cool, but it's a really interesting move because Nintendo has never traditionally put it on a pedestal next to the Zeldas, the Marios, the Pokemon. So this December is going to be the Metroid franchise big chance to shine and bring home the bacon for Nintendo. Now, initially, when I first saw this open world motorbike gameplay, I was kind of impressed. I was like, okay, I like the little cool Mad Max Road Warrior cyber vibe you got going on. And then I remembered that this is Uncharted 4 from 2016. Another desert game, which just looks so much better from 9 years ago, which you could probably get for a third cheaper. Now, people like to compare the Nintendo Switch to the PlayStation 4 as regards power, but wow, when you see things like that, you can just tell that, yeah, there's a huge gulf. And when you're thinking about the fact that, again, this is a $70 game when it comes to America, you gotta think about the price. You gotta think about the price and is it worth it? You think about that. Now, hopefully, by the time this game releases in December, they've added some more trees, foliage, just something so the desert doesn't look so barren. And this game can actually get a fair shot and be seen in a good light. This is going to be one of the first times since the GameCube era which Metroid is holding down the fort and being the big Christmas game, the big holiday seller. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. Now, talking of really interesting, Nintendo just pulled this out of the bag, the Virtual Boy. Yes, gamers, it absolutely bombed at retail back in 1995, so it only makes complete sense why Nintendo would bring it back 30 years later.
What?
Now, the classic old school gamer in me really likes the fact that the Virtual Boy is back on the scene. I actually own one myself and have been collecting for it for a while. But that being said, I don't expect everybody to share my curiosity, especially when there's tons of other consoles which have been heavily requested by the fans. Things like the 3DS, the regular DS, Game Boy Advance. Even the GameCube library hasn't been fully exploited yet. So to just jump onto this abstract machine, which you need an $100 peripheral to play, is just madness. And even the way the whole thing is set up is just anti-consumer. Okay, so you spend $100 on this peripheral, but you don't even get the games with it. You have to wait for Nintendo to slowly drip feed you the games, and it's just unfair and anti-consumer. Now, Donkey Kong actually had a well-deserved showing at this Nintendo Direct presentation. And why I say it was well-deserved, people, is because this game has basically been doing the heavy lifting for the Switch 2. Most people have been a little bit disappointed with Mario Kart World, but everybody knows that Donkey Kong is supposed to be a certified banger. Which is why it is such a letdown that the DLC is basically a nothing burger. Yes, you get a huge new environment and a new separate minigame, but there's no extra tasks to do or extra collectibles or any reason to actually have that extra environment. So it's just a new place for you to play and do nothing. Now, the new Emerald Rush game mode is actually something really cool. It actually changes the way the whole game works. It turns it into a roguelike adventure where you get a lot of temporary power-ups and you get to keep them and have runs and do the same thing over again and increase your score. It's very arcade-like, which is cool. But this is all something just that could have just been baked in the original game for free, just like they did with Super Mario Odyssey. Had a nice little end game for you to do after the game finishes. And of course, because Nintendo are obsessed with our money now, gamers have to pay for end game content which should have been free. So this now costs $20, bringing the grand total to this game to $90, which is really crazy. Now, it definitely seems that Nintendo's policy has changed from making the most innovative games and products to just making the most innovative ways of draining your bank account. Nintendo's new catchphrase should be Nintendo, fun with a catch. Now, it's going to be really interesting to see how all of these prices affect the momentum of the Nintendo Switch 2 going into the new year. It's going to be really interesting if the software like Metroid, Kirby, Pokemon can maintain the Nintendo Switch hype through the holidays into the new year. And it'll be really good to get some great games that show off the power and prowess of this console. But these prices and these business practices are really strange. The Virtual Boy could have been a really cool idea if gamers got the headset and a couple of the games packed in and were able to use it without being tied to the most expensive version of the online service. It just seems really weird and really anti-consumer. It seems like every time Nintendo have a good idea, there's just a catch to make it fall short. But anyway, let me know what you think about the Nintendo Switch 2 and the prices and the Direct. Are you interested in it? And yeah, if you're new here, subscribe to the channel and holler at your boy. Sign out.